So I want to welcome everybody first. Appreciate everybody taking the time out of their busy day on a day here in the United States. For those in the United States, right? President-elect Donald Trump is being inaugurated. At the same time, it's Martin Luther King Day, and so a lot of things going on here.
Well,
And
he's
a lot
actually, as of noon, he's officially president, according to the
of my
Constitution.
time or noon Eastern.
Noon Eastern.
He was officially a president an hour
Now
ago.
for an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even get to see it. I think
Somebody recorded it, I'm sure. If you recorded it, send the VHS tape to Bob.
the VHS tape. I'm sure there'll be many people with it on YouTube, right? So yeah, welcome Aaron King from Vegas. Okay, so question: are there any guests on the call? Meaning, not necessarily if this is your first call, even as a member, but a guest, somebody that is not yet a member. Welcome, Belgium. Is there anybody on the call right now that is not a member, a paid member? Whether you're a paid member for your $45 and you're still working on paying your $120, and we'll talk about some updates as well. So no guests, okay? So what we're going to do is we're not going to go through the slides for this call today. Again, for those just coming in, Gary is pretty ill right now, and he is going through the symptoms of his last treatment. So please, everybody, prayers up. And those in the Skype room, those in Facebook groups, let's get prayers out to Gary because we got to keep that guy. It was for without Gary, I will tell you, 5 months ago, without Gary, there's not me, and there's probably not 16,000 ambassadors under me right now. I can probably tell you that would have not happened. All right, so we've got to keep Gary healthy because as we get closer to what I call D-Day, which is the launch to the public, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more depth here in a minute. We already have requests from numerous countries and from numerous cities here in the United States to start doing live events. I first touched on this challenge back 5 months ago in week 1. And the challenge still remains because David Gwynn and Jeff McBee are my group leaders. Group, when I say group, actually, David has been promoted to global community leader because he is well into the thousands. Congratulations to David and his teams below him. He has literally thousands of people under him. As of the 14th, I think we knew about maybe 5,000 or 6,000. I'm not sure because we'll not know the numbers until all the updates are done. But we know that we're growing at the rate still of about 500 new members a day. So congratulations to everybody. So give yourselves high fives and hearts and everything else, because it is because of you as individuals, the senior leadership team, and the leaders under them that we have strategically placed from top to bottom since day one, that all of this is possible. Okay. Yep. Mr. Joe Anthony and Scott Bland are David's first level leadership, and they are doing an amazing job. Joseph Anthony, I don't know if he was able to make it today. Are you out there, Joe? No, he's not able. I knew that he had his own Zooms that he's having to do too now. Joe, of all the leaders that I have, just so you can understand from perspective, I've got leaders under my wife. Craig Linfield out of Australia has leadership under him, and then leadership under my wife, under my daughter, which is David Gwynn and his leaders. And they have now, we know today from our meeting that we had with Alpes Corporation, about an hour ago. I just came directly from that meeting to this one. David and Joe have 10,000 ambassadors under them. 10,000, ladies and gentlemen. And their teams themselves are in 30 or 40 countries. We as a team, not des Alpes, but we as a team are at least now probably 18,000 of the 23,000. So there's 23,000 ambassadors or potential ambassadors. I cannot speak for the other master distributors around us, but we have about 18,000, and all of ours are ambassadors. So a question to ask you guys is, give me a one if you have, we're going to go through this real quickly. Give me a one if you have at least two people or two ambassadors under you right now. Give me a one. Give me a one if you have at least two ambassadors under you. Congratulations. Congratulations to all of you. Why? Because you are now in profit. This was part of a huge vision since week one and mission since week one, that we were able to do what? That we were able to reach out locally and globally now and change people's lives. And in part of that, changing people's lives is the requirement that we put to ourselves to way that we built this from what we call top down. Okay, there was always two ways to build it. And one way was to sponsor as many as you could, because that is the old school way and the only way that people knew. The challenge with that way always, and still to this day, is what happened to all but the first two, especially when you're in a two-by structure, right? Well, what happens is all of those people are out there wondering when they're going to get qualified, and they still are. And that is one way to build it. Okay. When Gary and I first looked at this, we saw an opportunity where we could change the whole industry. The des Alpes platform, we're going to talk about the platform itself here in a minute, but the des Alpes platform suggested to Gary and I that there was a new way to build. Okay, so we've only been, this is week 17 right now. This is only week 17. Okay, and Gary and I started with two. If you've only have two personals, give me a two. All those that only have two personals, give me a two. Okay, we've got about 100 people here, so I want to see if you've only got two personals, give me a two. Okay, the reason I'm asking you this is, again, this is confirmation on two levels. The first level is that people not just understood how we're doing this, but they understood why we're doing this. And this is the most important part of everybody's journey since day one. You have to know why. Okay, for you personally, your whys are all going to be different within your family unit. Okay, I will tell you my why. My why is because I promised my family for the last 20 years two things. I actually promised my wife that before I retired, I would retire her. And it is only because of extra income, what I call disposable extra income, not created by the quote job, okay, but only created by what? By a vehicle such as des Alpes, where was I able to retire my wife 4 years before I retired. That was a plan. The next part of that plan was for me to retire. And I was able to retire again because of additional incomes from vehicles that I was either ownership of or involved with online. did I get to be able to retire. And that was February the 10th of 2020. The next part of that journey was we were to next be able to retire, my wife and I, completely debt free. Now, that part of the journey, if you go to my profile, and I'm going to put that in there because I want you to see. So a little bit of this, what you're getting is some training. So I'm going to give you my profile, and I want you to pay attention to a couple things. I want you to look at my bio. Well, I want you to look at a lot of things, but mainly I want you to look at my bio. Everybody's got a bio. Your bio has to define who you are and what your intentions are when you're branding yourself. Gold nugget. Who you are and what your intentions are. Okay? And so my intentions are to do what? Because my wife and I were able to retire debt free. Now I have been teaching that. And I get paid some pretty good money to do that. Okay? But I am not charging people in des Alpes, and we will start teaching that after we get through this leaders launch, pre-launch, and into the public in the next couple of weeks. Then I and all of the brilliant people that we've got that are stepping up are going to start teaching some very, very specific things. And you've already seen, if you've been to Saturday trainings, okay, then you know that we are doing things that you don't see anybody else doing, much less doing it for free. Hello, Francisco. Hello, Francisco. Welcome. And so go to that profile of mine. And the first thing you're going to see is obviously some pictures. All right. And you'll see a picture that I'm getting ready to change. It was for the season, and it'll be back to my family. But you see the inset, which is my wife and I. And then that takes you to the pinned post. So you want to develop a pinned post that is about you. Because on Facebook, what you want to do is start branding yourself. Okay. And this is part of everything that I've done. Because yes, I said extra monies, vehicles. Facebook has been a vehicle for me, as well as other income streams, to help us get to our goals that we've gotten. So our why now changes. Our why now changes to the next level. And that's where des Alpes has come in, because now, because my wife is in the business and my daughter is in the business and my son came in last in the business, we all as a family unit, as a collective, have a why that we're going to take this to the next level with the charities that we have and doing things personally in our communities for people. So that is our why. Now, that why has got to be ingrained in you to the degree that you eat, sleep, and live for why you are going to do this business. Why you're going to do this business. Amy, tell the world your first goal of your why that you're doing this business. Let everybody know. No more overtime. Okay, now that's very specific. And this is what I'm talking about. You have to start writing these things down. You want to be very specific in your why, because then you take your why and you have to formulate your goals. So you have a short-term goal, and you have a medium-term goal, and then you have a long-term goal. All right. I've already met my short-term goals. I've already met my medium-term goals, and now my long-term goals are twofold: to help all those that need a hand up. Okay, this is part of the mission and vision of the video. I'm wrapping this up for you, because the first video that you are supposed to be sending out to your potential prospects is going to tell them why they might be interested in this business, because it's going to help them fix some problems. What is Amy's first problem? Her problem is not that she has a job per se. Her problem, her challenge right now is she wants to stop working overtime. Okay. So in order to do that, it's called income displacement. Okay. You have to be able to displace the income that's forcing you to do and take action of things that you don't want to be doing. Amy, do you want to work overtime? And I think you've been working overtime on Fridays and Saturdays for how many years? Amy, unmute. You should be able to unmute if you can. You're at home, aren't you? Okay, I wanted her to have the opportunity to speak for herself, but the bottom line is that is the start. Okay, so you have to have a why. Why are you doing this? You're not doing this because you just have nothing else better to do. That's not why you're here. Everybody has to have their own why. So the video tells you two things. It tells you why we're doing this and then for whom we're doing this.
Can you hear me, Bob?
I can hear you now. So Amy,
Okay.
just real quickly, tell people for a couple of things, how long you and I have worked together, and then tell them your why.
We've worked together probably at least almost 10 years with the other businesses.
Yeah, pretty close.
My why is to quit overtime. I work at least 50 hours a week and then 20 hours extra on Fridays and Saturdays overtime.
And why are you having to do that, Amy?
Because I need the extra money.
Exactly. So what is your plan now?
Plan is not to work overtime and work the Alps full time.
Okay. And so part of your plan requires you to do what you have to do. So so here's the reality of any plan. Amy already knows how much dollars that overtime generates, right, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the other thing about overtime that you have to understand is, here's a gold nugget. Be careful of how much overtime that you're doing, even if you have to have it, because taxes will eat the overtime up, and you will in effect get less money working too many hours of overtime versus your goal and objective of having to work overtime and getting the extra money, right, Amy?
Right.
Okay, so
the income tax.
Yep. Okay, so understand that. Write that down. That's a gold nugget. This is part of what I teach about debt reduction, about getting debt free. There's all kinds of steps involved in that you'll learn, and you'll want to learn. Because part of this whole process is identifying the challenge within your family first. So her challenge is overtime. She wants to stop working overtime. Okay. Then what's your next challenge? Once you stop working overtime, then what's the next phase of your plan?
My next phase of plan is to retire in 2 years.
Retire in 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, exactly. It doesn't matter why 2 years. What matters is the fact that she's got a plan in motion. Give us a 3 if you understand where we're going with this and why this is valuable to you to know. Give us a 3. Yep, Cheryl, you're right. You're right. Give us a 3 if you understand where we're going with all this. Okay. Because this is on her journey to retiring then completely debt free. Yeah. And then the next part of that journey is to what? To start building residual income to the degree that you now are building generational wealth.
Yep.
Okay. Amy, you understand generational wealth now, right?
Yep.
Okay. A famous interview for those of you in the United States, or those of you that know who Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood are. They were interviewed. They have ranches here in Oklahoma and other places. But the point being is that they were interviewed and they had taken 5 years off the road. And the interview was pretty simple and pretty direct. And they said, well, okay, so obviously you don't need the money. And Garth and Trisha both at the same time said it was never about whether we needed the money or not. What it was about is the family. Okay, even people with wealth know that they're still trading what? Time for money. In order, they are what? They are entertainers, musicians. So what do they got to do? They either got to take their family with them, or they've got to have somebody take care of them while they're what? On the road. So they have the same challenges.
Yeah.
It's just a different level, right, Amy?
Right.
And so they said, okay, but Garth, why did you take 5 years off the road? Simple answer. We decided at the age the children were that they were going to take the time off to raise them without a nanny and without private schools and without other relatives being involved.
Yeah.
You have the same things, right, Amy?
Right.
People have the same challenges. Okay. They're working a second or third job. Amy, how many people that you know are working overtime at your job? Just in that.
I work with 75 people.
And they're all working overtime?
Yeah, pretty much all of them are.
And how
Every
many,
Friday and Saturday.
and over the last few months, how many of them have you dripped messages on that would suggest that they want to learn how to quit working overtime like you are?
About 15 of them.
Well, there you go. There you go. Give us a 5 if this is making sense to you all. Give us a 5 if this is making sense to you. Great, because I want to make sure we're on the same page. It's very critical to and just so you know, Amy is one of my top leaders. She's a brilliant leader. She's been with me for like 10 years. She's been my #1 leader in 2 different companies, and she is on my right leg, first level of this company. And how big is your team now, Amy?
About 160.
About 160 and growing very nicely. Okay. So and speaking of growth, there's all kinds of levels of growth. There's massive viral growth, which some of the teams are going through. Okay. And you got to remember there's different reasons for that. But the same constant is they only brought 2 people.
That's right.
We only brought 2 people. And what are we doing, Amy, for the majority of the people underneath us? What are we doing for them?
Helping them get to.
Right.
Moving on down the line.
And what does that do? What does that do for them immediately when they get there too?
It helps them get their profit and then just moving on down the line, getting
right.
To,
and so we understand that is not the norm in network marketing, right, Amy?
No.
What is the normal scenario in every other network marketing company that you've been involved with?
You try to get more than 2.
Yep, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But isn't it a fact that first of all, you're not getting paid daily?
No.
And you're not getting paid first.
No.
Okay.
You pay out first.
Right. Every month, right?
Right.
Every month. And you darn sure didn't give that last company a one-off payment that you never have to dip in your pocket again, right?
Right.
Okay. So yes, month after month after month after month. This is the syndrome that happens to 97% of the people that are trying to make some money online. And this is exactly what we are changing. Okay. It's not just the fact that we're doing daily pay, which is in real time, ladies and gentlemen, which has never been done before. It's a fact that you have a one-off investment of less than $200 to own your business. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute, what your business actually really is now. Okay. So the fact of the matter remains is month after month after month. I'll give you an example. There's a company, Wealth Step by Step. I know the owner very well, and he has done very well for himself and for a few of his, quote, guns, for lack of better words. When I say gun, we're talking about people with the capability of sponsoring tens and tens and tens and a lot of people. Okay. And not everybody can do that. There's no duplication to that. So what happens to the average person is they're giving this guy $30 a month, and they may have got one, they may have got two, they may have got three. Okay, so they've earned 25, 25, and 25 in that scenario. So they got their original first month investment back, but they're still paying out front. Okay, that is the old way of doing business, but it still continues to this day. And then the owner is going to decide whether you made a commission or not, and the owner is not paying you until sometime later in the month. So who is making the money in this scenario, Amy?
The owner is.
The owner. The owner's got 20,000 people, and I'm picking on Adam just because I love him, and I'm trying to convert him, just like I've been converted into Christianity. I'm trying to convert him to the new ways. And so what do I say? Well, why would he want to convert? Well, there's a lot of reasons now, Adam, and the Adams of the world are going to want to convert, ladies and gentlemen. I can assure you, because nobody sees us coming. Amazon doesn't even see us coming. They don't. We're like a pimple on their butt. We're an annoyance, all right? But they have 200 million people giving them $15 a month. 200 million. And how did that happen? Well, it didn't happen overnight. They've been around for how long, Amy?
About 6 years?
No, 30 years.
No.
They started 30 years ago.
Okay.
They started 30 years ago with one product, ebooks. And look at them today. Well, they got 200 million people giving them not $160 one time, $160 a year by the month. And they don't even give you a deal if you want to pay by the year. But what do you get for that? Well, okay, yep, you get Amazon Prime streaming. Yep. All right, that's a great deal, right? Sure. And you get free shipping, and maybe you save a few bucks. But you have to pay that month after month after month after month, and then you get something back. It's the same business model.
Yeah.
And it attracted 200 million people. So they're not looking at us. They'll never see us coming. No. I'll get to that in a minute. But Amy, what would you say to people that are just starting out? What would you say to people that are just starting out?
Starting out for our business?
Yes.
They need to come on, because it's simple and easy, and nothing like I've ever been in.
So what you're trying to tell people is that we're talking about 103 people that are here, that, for as far as I know, they're already members, right? So they have paid their dues to get in, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, what Amy's really talking about is the only way to success is to follow the successful leadership that you're under. Right. So you need to know who those people are, number one. Number two, you need to completely plug in to our system, right, Amy?
Right.
Now, what does plugging in all in look like, Amy?
Duplication, talk to your people, get them on the phone. Don't message them. You just need to get out and talk to people.
Okay, and that also means that they are supposed to be coming to at least one business Zoom a week, and try to get to the trainings live, right?
Right.
And if they cannot, then what are they supposed to do?
Watch
the replays.
Yeah,
watch the replays. Okay,
yeah,
it's very simple. It's very simple, right, Amy?
Right.
Yeah, we're here 5 months, Amy.
Yep. It's simple.
Amy's kind of shy about talking to the world, so sometimes she loses her train of thought. But I love her to death. She knows that I give her tough love, and I have many students. Do I give you tough love, Amy?
That's right.
Okay. If you know what tough love is, give me a 1. If you know what tough love is, give me a 1. Jeff McBee knows what tough love is. David knows what tough love is. Tina knows what tough love is. Tough love is telling somebody that you love and respect the things they don't want to hear.
That's right.
Okay. Tough love is understanding that I am the leader of 18,000 people right now at this moment that are all ambassadors, that are all qualified for the entire compensation plan, that are already in profit, and we haven't even launched to the world. And
That's right.
that is, look, I'm not trying to impress any of you here,
Nope.
but I will impress upon each and every one of you that a true leader does a couple of things very well. First of all, they lead by example.
Yeah.
They lead up front. They make no excuses, and they expect the following from their people below them. Now, what does that actually mean in reality? First of all, I'm retired.
Yeah.
Amy is not. I'm retired. My wife is retired. My daughter is getting ready to retire. My son is self-made and he has no boss. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that we understand what it took to get there. So
Yeah.
kudos and bravo to, first of all, to all of you here right now. Why? Because you are serious and you are capable of being here. Now, look, reality is, we know, the senior leadership knows, the leaders know that you all cannot be here every time. We know that. That's why we have this on Mondays, and we have this on Thursday evenings, and we have trainings on Saturday mornings right now. And all of these things will expand in some form or fashion as we go forward. Okay.
Yeah.
But the reality also states that we record everything, and there is no excuse. I will not
That's right.
make an excuse. I will not accept an excuse for anybody that tells me that they don't have time to watch the replays.
Nope.
Now, this is tough love for me. Is that right, Amy?
That's right.
Okay. Because I'm going to tell you why. I put, since day one, week one, to this very day, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can ask my wife. My wife actually has to leave and go stay with my daughter. Amy knows this.
Yeah, I do.
Right? Right.
Yep.
And it's because she can't stand hearing me over and over and over again and doing my three-way calls throughout the day and in the evenings, 7 days a week. I took a half a day off for Christmas. Now, I'm not trying to impress anybody with that, with these facts, but I will impress upon you that I am dead serious about my business, and I'm dead serious about wanting people to get very serious about their business. And those that are, and those that are plugged in to what we're doing, and those that are taking what we're doing and applying it consistently on a daily basis are absolutely growing. Absolutely growing. John Gabriel, you're here. Let me find you for a second.
Very done.
John Gabriel, John Gabriel, John Gabriel, right there.
You let me get off, Bob.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
John Gabriel, unmute. If you can unmute.
How you doing?
There. Hey, John, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Okay, is that something in your background you can mute?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, thank you. Just for a minute. All right. Now, John Gabriel did not know that I was going to pick on him, but I am. And there's a big reason for this. John, how long have you known me?
About 3 months now, maybe a little bit more.
3 months now. And you and I have had private conversations, correct?
Correct.
And you've actually disclosed quite a bit of your personal story, right?
That's true.
And John did not have to do that at all, but John was compelled to do that for a number of reasons. And just so that you know, God is involved in my life and my family's life, and I know that God compels me to do things a specific way. He compels me to reach out to specific people at times, and he compels specific people to reach out to me. And
amen to that.
Amen, John, right? So the reason I got you here is because, first of all, I understand this. John Gabriel is not directly in my downline, although John Gabriel is in my partner's downline. And so the reason I'm asking him to speak for just a minute is two reasons. Number one, I want John to give a little bit about his background and what his journey started to look like, because John is not a rags to riches story, and we don't do rags to riches stories, but what we do is real speak and real stories. So John, just give them a quick little background on what you do for your living in your life, how you started, and where you are now. Thank you. Go ahead, John.
So currently I'm driving dump truck. I've had my CDLs for about 11 years now. A father of four. I supported my family for 18 years by myself. About 9 years ago, I had my own tractor trailer. I was in the midst of an unfortunate event with my wife being in a bad car wreck that almost taken her away. I was able to find my own tractor trailer and go into business for myself, and had a taste of freedom, so to speak, as far as financial, because getting paid 9 to 5 just wasn't cutting it. So I needed more. So I ventured out to get my own business and do that again. And then I herniated the disc in my lower back and had to sell off my trucks, unfortunately. And it's been a downward spiral since, but I never give up hope or dream to bring financial freedom to my family. You know, bring them vacations, do all the family things that we used to do, and never stop. And I got back in trucking a couple of years later, driving for other people. And then my buddy Rick brought this wonderful opportunity to me. Um, I'm still on the lower end of the pay scale. You know, we still struggle, but I see um, the great, I don't know the word I'm trying to find right this second. I got put on the spot.
That's all right. All right. I do this, John, on purpose, because see what people need to hear. They don't need to hear from me or Gary or the top leaders because we've been here from day one. They need to hear from people like you all that have daily struggles like they do and still find the time to persevere, to learn, to apply. And I think now you have more than just your two people, right?
Correct.
And so where are you at? I think level 2, maybe level 3. I'm not sure.
So my one leg is down to level 5, maybe 6.
There you go.
And it is like you mentioned before, it is uneven, and it will even out eventually.
Yeah. The short legs, or the weak legs, as we call them in the business, there's no weak leg. Okay. So let me correct myself. First of all, we have a community. Second
Right.
of all, inside that community, you have 2 legs because you only have 2 spots. Now, yes, there's a good or better chance that one leg will outperform the other leg in the beginning. But because we go 20 levels, eventually the one leg will catch up. But that's not the most important part. John also realizes that John gets paid on the entirety of his team, because this is not a binary compensation plan. This is a forced matrix. In a binary, if we were a binary compensation plan, then John and myself would only get paid on the weak leg. Okay. And that is only because of owners' decisions to keep the majority of the money until they don't have to. Okay. And they know that because of the old way of doing things, there's not going to be 1,000 people sponsoring 1,000 people. There's going to be maybe 10 people that have the capability of sponsoring 1,000. And then all those other people will sit there doing the same thing, trying to figure it out. Right, John?
Correct.
And so the way that we built this, the first thing that happened to you, John, is what? You got your first 2 people, right?
Yes, sir.
And now you are actually, and technically, what? You are in profit, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a critical thing, ladies and gentlemen. Why is it critical? Because for 50, 60 years, 97% of the people starting any type of online business were always paying the owner every month and not getting into profit, sometimes never. And most of the time, over a period of months or even years. I'll give you my example. Yes, I was at the very top. I was a founding partner in a company called Genesity that lasted 7 years because I invested into that company financially, number one. But I also had to pay 2 different auto ships, okay, to the amount of $300 a month for 2 purposes. One, to continue getting paid, and then 2, to keep a specific rank. It took me 4 years to reach the top rank of that company. And I did it. I knew I would do it because I had brilliant people like Amy, like Bree, that's on here, Barbie, and all kinds of folks that are no longer there because the company shut down. But my point is this: those compensation plans, and that particular one was called a universal unilevel. Okay, and so in a unilevel structure, which we have in our back office, is part 2 of our compensation plan, is you want to be able to do what Donnie has been told to people: oh, sponsor the world so you don't give away money. Okay, well, there's 2 fallacies with that. Sponsoring the world, 97% of the people are not capable of doing that. Okay, now we're going to see a big difference with this business model based on all the changes that have come up recently, and now going forward, what we are to be known as a business. But the unilevel part of your compensation plan is paid to you starting with your 2 personals, and then you get paid matching bonuses: 50% of your first level people, 20% of your second level people, 10% of your third, fourth, and fifth. The power is not just across the top. The power is depth of those 5 levels, because you have 2 on your first level, 4 on your second, 8 on your third, 16, and then 32, right? So you start doing the math, and right now everybody is getting paid 50 cents per person, first of all, in the 2x20 matrix first, and that is coming from the mall. So in your back office, you'll see your first commissions are coming from your subscriptions. What are your subscriptions? Those are your first 2 that you personally sponsored, and then the 2 under them, the 2 under them, the 2 under them that are coming. That is the first part of your commissions. The second and third part of your commissions are broke down into commissions coming from the 50 cents per person per level. So however many John's got total that have already paid in, he's got 50 cents per person per level in that part. And then in the second part of the unilevel, he's getting the matching bonuses for level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of those first 2. Now, once John has over 62 paid in his business, then John is going to be allowed to do what? Start using his personal link again. Why? Because he's built the foundation. Your foundation started with your first 2 personals. Your foundation grew your community to 62 total. It doesn't matter where they are. If 40 of them or 50 of them are on your left leg and the rest are on your right leg, it doesn't matter where they are. They are all part of your community, and you get paid on all of them in the compensation plans that we have. So that is something, again, nobody's done. That the power of what you're doing is growing on a daily basis, because we are continuing to grow. Nobody has stopped. Nobody has stopped. So Paul says we won't move on to the next level until that level is complete. No, that's not correct. You do not have to have a full level to move up. Okay, you don't have to have a full level. Now, to make it simpler, Paul and everybody, you want to complete a level, and that's how we built it. Okay, so when I started with 2 people, and then that was my wife and Amy, and then my first level got their 2 people, so that gave me 4, and part of that was Craig, and part of that was David Gwynn, and so on and so forth. And then this just has grown since then, because they got their 2, and that's how we've grown. So one of the biggest differences is that Gary and I started almost 18 weeks ago versus somebody starting 2 months ago versus somebody starting today. So what we know from the numbers based on the current growth is that everything is holding true and correct exactly how it was presented to us and exactly now how we see it building and how we see the income streams coming in. And so what is the big difference? The only difference, which is the big difference, is when you started. For everybody that got to start 18 weeks ago, that's why we are where we are. And I'll use the example of my family. So my wife started with me. So she is not even a week behind me, but yet her depth, she's making more money than I am already. And she's got people making more money than her down below her, and so on. So you've got to understand that is also something that you do not see in a typical company. You only see the people at the top, and then everybody else is scrambling that are trying to make money. And then what do? Because they're paying month by month by month, that the average person never brings more than 3 people ever, no matter what it is, how long it is, and then they only last 3 months and they're gone. Versus you get paid first, you get paid every day, you get paid while you're sleeping. My wife now goes into her back office 3 or 4 times a day because she sees it clicking, $10 here, 20 there, and on and on and on. And she just gets blown away about it. And so everybody, as you're increasing your levels, will see the same things. Okay. And so understand what you have in the basis of it. Understand what you have the basis of. So John, real quick, what is your why and what is your next goal?
My why is my family. It always has been. That's kept me awake many nights, driving tractor trailers, sleeping, and it's the dream. I say it's the American dream, but it's the dream of everybody. You dream and strive to do better for your family, and God bless you for doing that. Anybody, man and woman. But that is my sole purpose, is to make my family well and benefit from the fruits of what's available to us through the process. And my other dream is to really help out everybody that struggled like me. I really would love to reach out and help everybody I can. And everybody will, you'll hit brick walls from here to there. People won't see the value of it. They won't understand it, but maybe one day they'll open their eyes and come to us.
And we keep evolving. One of the things that you have to understand, everybody, is and you need to share this with all of you all that are leaders here. Have to always keep everything into perspective. And the reason that you're leaders is not because you got a leadership by default. You got your leaders where you are in my team because you earned that right and my respect, and you are where you are for that reason only. Okay. And now, as senior leaders that we have on the senior leadership team under my guys, that they are now directed for bigger and better things for the future. Number one, and then more importantly, their next job is to develop the leadership below them, because we literally, under my wife as an example, on the 14th. She had 10,850 ambassadors. My daughter on the 14th had about 5,000 ambassadors under her. And then my son under him had probably about 250 or 300 ambassadors. Why? Because again, he came in last. So showing you that progression, the wife started with me. The daughter came in about a month later, a couple of levels down. And then he came in 2 months later. So literally, you can do this by timestamps. And so the only difference between the daughter and the wife and me is a month or two. The only difference between the son and the daughter and the wife and me is another month or two. And this is holding true throughout my whole organization from left to right, top to bottom, holding true today. And we represent 70% of the entire company right now. The entire company is at 23,000, and Gary and I are at 18 or 19,000. We don't know for sure. And as I already said, we continue to grow at the rate of 500 a day. And I remember in the first week when we first started getting to know the ownership and the management of Des Alpes, that their first goal was the goal to get the mall in place. The mall was never going to be allowed to be in place till when? Till 15,000 people came in. And that they weren't counting on 15,000 people to be ambassadors. They were counting on 15,000 people to be coming in and be customers, to try us out, and so on and so forth. They never in their wildest dreams thought that they would see 15,000 ambassadors, okay, before launch. Well, they have 23,000, and 70% of that 23,000 are under all of us that are on this call in some point, and they are all qualified fully for the entire compensation plan, and they're already in profit, getting ready to get paid back what they've put in to start with. So congratulations, everybody, to this point. You all owe yourself a lot of kudos, hearts, and high fives, and everything. So understand that is the most important thing that you can share with people. And yes, we understand that the family and friends, they don't want to hear nothing until what? What are they waiting on, John?
They're waiting on us to show them that we're making money.
To make that you actually have the money in hand, right?
Yep.
Yep. Because yes, again, I'm very transparent, very upfront. My wife will tell you that she bitches at me about, when am I going to get to go shopping? Okay. Because
Yep.
that's all she wants to do, right, John?
Yep.
She wants to go shopping. Well, I get that, because who doesn't like to shop, right? And we're going to get to that just there in a second for the business model, so that you all understand. So yeah, Anthony Bryant, you're right. Show me the money. You're always going to have that. Why? Because the majority of people, including a lot of you here, have been involved in other businesses. And though you wanted to be able to show them the money, for whatever reason, it didn't happen, or it was very little. I had those same things. Look, for 7 years, when I started my first journey in this industry 30 years ago, the first 7 years, I failed miserably. Failed. When I talk about failure, and there was no internet, there was nothing. I was doing hotel meetings. I came from Amway, not personally, but because of my parents. And my parents spent 7 years in Amway. My mom mainly, because my dad traveled in his business all the time. But I got dragged around because I was the oldest, and I got dragged around to the hotel meetings. If you remember hotel meetings and Amway and Excel, give me a 1. If you remember the hotel meetings, Amway hotel meetings, Excel hotel meetings, Melaleuca hotel meetings, I could go on and on and on, because we're going back to that. Jeff McGee and David Gwynn here are part of my team in the cities of Oklahoma City and Tulsa that are building as well. So the bottom line, guys, is there's a tremendous opportunity here. Tremendous opportunity here. Okay. And no, we are not for everybody, although we are getting very close to being for the majority. Remember, I talked about the 200 million that Amazon have, paying them every month. Well, Jeff Bezos created the perfect business model for who? Somebody tell me, Jeff Bezos, who created Amazon, created the perfect business model for who? John Gabriel himself. And why not? He's going to tell you, hey, I put all of my money into this. The owners of this, which are 4 of them, and also master distributors, which means they are all in the business. Understand the significance and the power behind you with the owners themselves actually in the business, just like you and I. They all started with their two. Now, they've all built their teams, okay? And the owners themselves, yes, they sit on top of us because they own the business, but they're in the business. So it is what? It is behoovant upon them to do what? Make sure that we are all successful. Yes, there's 4 of them, 4 owners. So you don't have one owner making a decision for what. So you got to understand it. You got 4 people that have to make decisions together. They're all equal partners. Okay, that forces you in business that they have to come together by contract with each other to make decisions for the benefit of the many. This all started with their family. This all started with them getting burnt in the crypto industry, MLM crypto side. That's why I would have never had nothing to do with this if crypto was involved and it was an MLM platform. No, sir. No, ma'am. And it is not. Okay. As a matter of fact, the only thing crypto about us now is kind of like Live Good. You can get paid in crypto, USDT and USDC, and you can pay in crypto. Okay. But that's not for everybody. 90% of the people don't care about it, and maybe they will eventually. All right. But it doesn't matter. It's not, it is a small part of this whole concept. So before I give you all the opportunity for questions, let me just go over some things. Is there anybody on this call that does not have a back office yet? They haven't paid their 45. Well, they can't pay the 45 anymore. So all the buttons in the back office. So the joining your affiliate link page has not grown yet with information. Don't worry about that. All that will come. Okay. We don't care about that because we don't use that. The only reason we use that is that once we get a commitment in our process, then we tell them, you go here and you join as a member, and then you get your back office. Now you get your back office and you got 3 different buttons. You have a button for 129, you have a button for 165, and you have a button for 201. Okay. And they all what? They're all 3 there. So you can either pay by the month, you can pay by the 6 months. Okay. Because the $45 for 12 months, that's over. But all of those that came in, when they came in, we are called grandfathered. Okay, give me a 1 if you understand what grandfathered means, or give me a 2 if you do not. Give me a 1 if you understand what being grandfathered means in relationship to the $45, which is your back office fee. Okay, so we don't get charged, and you see that in your back office that you got that you paid in, and then you get shown as a deposit on your breakdown, because inside your back office, they told us there'll be a breakdown of the money's coming in on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis, and also the expenses. Remember, our business has expenses. Our business had expenses. So speaking of that, right now, your back office is in default for automatic. Okay. If you have not reached level 6 yet, you have not paid in the $1,100 expense out of your balance. And your balance is at the very top. That blue bar at the top right is your balance. Okay. Do not, for those of you that are at level 5 or higher, do not let that balance get below $1,700 when you get the opportunity to start taking your money out, which is coming very soon. Do not let that, because that rolls every 30 days. And you have and can you believe, if you see, you had to have seen this, that you have a placard, a placeholder that shows when you're level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and not 6. Everybody that's paid their 6, you got to remember that's only once a year. Nobody yet has paid level 7, which is the one-time lifetime of 2,100 yet. That is not automatic. Okay. If you haven't reached level 6, that is not going to be automatic. That is going to absolutely be that you have to agree to do that. All right. But it is one time for the year. So as an example, my wife and I, we are way past level 6 in our organization, obviously, across our legs, but we are level 6 ambassadors, not level 7. Why? Because we paid the expenses, including the 1100 last month. But you see the daily counter, how many days left? I think there's what, 14 days. If anybody's in their back office, it tells you how many days left till your upgrades come through again. But remember, those are coming out of profit. Everything that you see in that blue is your profit. Give me a 1 if you understand that everything that you see in your blue right now is your profit, and that you need to make sure you keep, I say 2,000, you know, if you want to cut it close at 1,700, that's up to you. All right. But I'm keeping 2,000 in there. Well, actually, I'm keeping 5,000 in there. Okay. And I'm not taking out a bunch of money for different reasons. Okay. And part of it is tax consequences. I will teach this too, because look, you're in profit. All right. So you are going to be responsible. You are sole proprietors until you're not, which is a different training. Okay. Which means that you signed up under your name and not an LLC or a 501c3. And you can't do that yet anyway. We're not set up to do that yet. And there is a application process for that anyway. So you can only have one position. And I say one, I say you personally. Okay. Again, my wife is on my first level. My daughter's down on her second level. My son's down on her 4th level. So I built my left leg first, just so you know. And then Amy and Angela Holmes have been building my right leg, and they're doing a very good job of it. So back office questions. Anybody got back office questions? Yeah, Amy's right. Leave 5,000 in there. And then once you paid the 2,100 lifetime, again, which is not going to be automatic, you're going to have to do it. And you're going to have to, it'll be a manual transaction as we understand it right now. And if you have not reached level 6, if you're at level 5, that means you have not paid the 1,100 yet. So look at your balances to make sure, and it will show you on your very first page. I've got like 10,000 pages of transactions that I could go through. I'm not going through that. I'll let my tax attorney do that at the end of 2025. Okay. Why? Because I'm not paying taxes up front. That's another training. Okay. Just so you know, my wife and I do not pay taxes up front during the year for our retirement income or any of our business income. But yet, lo and behold, last year, doing it the same way, we got back over 2,000 in federal and over 1,000 in state. And we get back money every year without paying taxes up front. And that is not illegal. You just have to understand the tax code, and you have to understand that you need the right CPA minimum. But for a lot of you on this call right now, you're going to need a tax attorney. Why? Because the tax attorneys are already licensed CPAs, and they are also an attorney. Okay. And there's some very, very specific reasons for wanting to go that direction, just so that you know. And we'll talk about that in another training. Points des Alpes. Points des Alpes. That's 25, by the way, that number. Okay. What is that? That is points that you will be allowed to use in your mall that they just gave you. That's not any commissions. That is points that you'll be allowed, and they're dollar for dollar. They're a dollar for dollar, and you can accumulate those. So every month at this turn, so when the day that I pay the month, the 1649 again, I will get another 25 points, and that'll go to 50, and so on. Okay. So yeah, it's a credit, David. David's correct. Speaking of David, I want a couple other people to come up here and talk for a second. Get David, and I think David, go ahead and unmute. Can you hear me, David?
I can.
And Jeff McBee. David, while you're unmuted first, why don't you give everybody a little bit of background on yourself, how long we've been working together, where you started your journey with Des Alpes, and where it's led to for you and your family to this point.
Well, you and I go back, I don't know, 15 to 20 years. You know, you kind of lose track after about 10 years when you know somebody. And time just really does fly by. I've done a lot of different things in network marketing, have had success in some. I've had a lot of failures in some. And once you start having failures, you kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So I took off for a while. I have a successful courier service here locally to me, and I've got a lot of big name clients that I do work for. And so getting back in a home-based business really wasn't on my mind. And then you give me a call and talk to me about Des Alps, and I just couldn't turn it down. It was such a great thing, and I only did it, Bob, because I trust you. If this would have been somebody else, maybe that I didn't know, calling me, I doubt I would have took a look at it. But I started my journey. It was the first week in September, and you had a different way of training than what I was used to, because we've always done things the quote unquote traditional networking way. And so that was the first week of September, somewhere along in there. And I made just a simple post. And one of my leaders, Joe, answered that post. And if you remember me, you and him did a three-way Zoom.
Yes, we did.
Joe was sold on it. That's the belly to belly that you talk about a lot, is reaching out and talking to people and belly to belly, and no endless text messages, no endless emails trying to get anybody to join.
Right.
And the amazing thing is we did this all without website links, back offices, any of that stuff.
And how much paid advertising have we used in the last 5 months?
Zero.
Zero. Correct.
Zero. It's just reaching out and talking to people.
Yeah. Like the old days.
And then I brought Scott. Both them guys rolled up their sleeves. They went to work. And man, oh man, what a ride it's been. I'm just blown away, because I kept visioning one day something like this would come along. And I guess because I had envisioned it, God's timing says now, and it's happening. And it's just been a phenomenal journey.
And I think that you've got a couple of levels, don't you now, David?
A few. You just mentioned earlier, I haven't been able to see my numbers. The last numbers I saw were right at 8,000, but they're, working on the back offices and doing all that stuff. So I've not been able to see the actual numbers, but you mentioned 10,000, and I about fell off my bar stool.
Joe knows. Well, Joe, we know because we had a meeting with something else you all need to understand. Myself, Gary, and Joe are part of the senior leadership team that now have a direct contact with Des Alpes president, Danielle Dalpay, his chief admin over all of operations now, Denis Drapeau, and the admin of the malls, Roland, and then the soon-to-be admin over all of programming and IT, Antonio. And these people are brilliant people. They're all family-oriented. As a matter of fact, Danielle himself, the president and CEO of Des Alpes, is a born-again Christian and very, very, very religious in the culture of French Canadian culture. They take this very seriously. And first and foremost, they are family people. And again, I told you, they're all in the business, including him. He has a spot. And this is what you want. You never see this because you think, well, from a business perspective, it's a conflict of interest. It is not a conflict of interest of any sort. You absolutely want the ownership of the business to be in the business as you are. Why? Because they suffer and they get rewarded exactly like we do.
Plus, they make it better for themselves, which makes it better for
Right.
everybody.
So two things have happened over for all of you that have not been with us for this 5-month journey that are just getting started. Congratulations. Number one, you're in profit. That doesn't change, by the way. Once you're in profit, you're always in profit. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you say to people, you're in profit. It's a simple thing to say. I invested less than $200 in my business model, and I'm in profit. And I am in a startup, so I have a position. So position-wise, Gary is actually number 63 in the company, and I am number 64 in the entire company of 23,000. So now you get a little perspective of where you probably are at this moment in a startup of the most amazing business model that the world has not yet seen, ladies and gentlemen. So the thing I want to ask you before I get to Jeff, what's your why, David, and then what is some of your goals?
Well, my why is generational wealth. I have 4 kids and 5 grandchildren. And, everybody in their life struggles, and you get tired of seeing your family struggle, and they give you a call. They need money to pay for this bill or that bill because they were short due to inflation and just a number of factors in there. And so now I can rest in peace knowing my family, all my kids and all my grandkids will be taken care of. That's a major goal for me. And then my other goals are basically I'm already debt free. Bless God, my home's paid for, my vehicles are paid for. I don't have any credit card debt. I learned this early on in life from a father who taught me well on finances.
Absolutely.
And so it's just been an amazing journey to think that I can finally get to my goals and buy the new truck I want, buy the travel trailer I want, and to do some traveling and camping and fishing with my grandkids before they get too much older and want to go out and do their thing, because we're certainly raising a completely different generation from what I was raised.
Right.
But I have tough grandkids. They understand where I'm coming from and what I'm about. They love their papa, and I'm gonna
They
set
do.
up. I'm gonna set up a little bit of something for each and every one of them, and that's a great feeling. That's going to be my legacy.
And see, ladies and gentlemen, this is important that you hear from all these different individuals, because the common thread is family first. God and family first. It's amazing if we look back, and Jeff will attest to this in a minute, and David, because these guys are, again, they are group and actually global leaders by definition, and then they're also classified as city leaders because we are building offline. And as soon as I get David retired, that part in Oklahoma City is going to start. We're already behind the scenes looking at that. Jeff has been behind the scenes here in Tulsa, where I live, working on that. And we started right out the gate. And I'll let Jeff speak to that in a minute. But
And that's another thing, Bob,
go ahead.
is because of Des Alps, I'm 63. I was going to retire October of 2026.
Yep, I remember that.
I have other investments coming due at that time as well. So that's why I picked October. That's my birth month. And I'll be 65 in October of 2026. But because of Des Alps and because of what we have here, I have bumped that up 1 year early. How cool is that?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That is.
And so you have to start somewhere. And everybody that's just getting started means that if, as long as you've got at least 2, and I saw the majority of people say that they've got their 2, that means they're in profit. And you will never not be in profit, no matter what. And you will never be left behind because you're already in profit. Number two. And number three, a lot of you don't even realize what you have yet, because we've gone through this transition for the last 5 months of all kinds of changes that you've seen. Okay. But understand this: 23,000 people never, ever in the history of this world have ever been allowed to be in a startup of any company. Never. But the people that are the owners are so much family orientated that not only did they allow us to, because they interviewed Gary and I, they interviewed us and they had to know exactly who our first two levels of people were. And they had to have their phone numbers in case they needed to call and verify who they were. And there's a lot of reasons why owners of a company do that with leadership starting. But what they never do is have the first part of a pre-enrollment that would be anything more than a leader or a partner. So Gary and I are partners with Mark Chin and Jim Ogles, and then we are right under the master distributors, and they are part owners as well. So you've got 4 master distributors. Each one of them has their own 2x20 matrix, and then the company itself has the 2x infinity. Okay, so they are willing to do what? They're willing to participate with us, just like we are. They had to put their money in. They each had to put, whether it was paid with crypto or they paid it with US dollars, Canadian dollars for them. Matter of fact, their Canadian dollars was 199 for them to get in, for each one of them and family members that they have in Canada. Okay. Now, why do I bring that up? Well, because outside of the US is things that go on outside of the US, and the conversions are what they are. As an example, in South Africa, the typical person that's coming into our business that is not part of what they call the elite in South Africa, and the elite is only the top 10 or 20% of people that make more than what? Make more than $50,000 a year. $50,000 a year in the United States ain't squat anymore. It's not. Okay. Before taxes, it's not. In South Africa and their currency, they are very, very wealthy people. Okay. But that is very, very small. The average person, when they join des Alpes, you want to know how serious people are outside of the US and why the countries outside of the US are exploding. Number one, they are serious as a heart attack. Number two, they know the value of the US dollar coming back to them, because the average person in South Africa is a year's salary. Now you say, there's no way, Bob. I'm telling you, it is exactly that. The average person in African countries on that continent is a year's salary to join des Alpes. You have to understand the significance of the fact that somebody would take a year's salary, much less a month's salary or more, and be serious enough about this business because they understand the return back to them. So you, ladies and gentlemen, need to decide, especially here in the United States, how serious you want to become. Okay. So you're hearing from people. Thank you, David. Jeff McVie, are you out there?
Yes, sir. Right here.
Jeff is a good friend and family friend now to our families. Jeff, as a matter of fact, it's an interesting story that we'll go through real quick because we're almost to an hour and a half. But Jeff lives down the street, actually lives down the street, and we didn't even know that. I knew Jeff was back in Oklahoma, and then I find out he's in Glenpool, and I thought, oh, that's great. We're gonna get together. And then I find out that I can look out my window right now and I can see these vehicles. And I didn't know for how long? A couple of months, Jeff?
Couple of months. Yeah, couple of months.
Go ahead and you heard what we're doing here. So go ahead and share your story, your why, and your goals.
Well, I have, of course, I've known Bob for, gosh, a good long time, about 15 years or so. I've been with him in a couple of opportunities. And, me and my wife and kids have been here since 2010, moved from Lubbock, Texas up here. And I had to transition back to Texas a little while in 2017. I had met Bob before that and was working an opportunity with him. So I moved and I came back, and like you said, I moved back to Glenpool, and we were down the street from one another. Didn't know it until a couple of months later. But this would have been, let's see, first week of October 24. Bob calls me and he said, "Hey, I got something I want you to look at." So I was hesitant. I've worked about three or four different opportunities, not only with Bob, but in addition to those that I've worked with Bob down through the years. And to be completely honest, I haven't done a whole lot. I made a little bit here, made a little bit there, but nothing really significant. And I was just kind of burnt out and tired of the whole uh, process. So Bob talked to me and said, "Listen, don't make up your mind now. I just want you to get on a webinar, watch this video, ask some questions, see what you think." And so I did that. I was able to get on a webinar and I saw the whole presentation. Couldn't quite wrap my mind around what I was seeing. I knew there was something there, but I couldn't see it. So the following week, I jumped on another presentation, and I started seeing something. I still wasn't quite sure what it was. So at the third time that I was on this presentation, and in between talking to Bob, I saw something that I haven't seen before. And the reason I saw it is because I was looking at it from a different perspective. I was seeing what this business is not, right? I was so embedded with the old school MLM companies where everybody up above me is getting everything that I'm supposed to be getting, and promises made and everything else, but this is not that. And the way that me and Bob were working together, and he was introducing me to other people, I could see very quickly that this is not a typical MLM situation. Even though it may have an aspect of that in it, it's not that. And so what I began to see from that moment on is everything that this company was not instead of what it was. And it was very attractive to me at that point. So I guess it was about a month later, I had been sharing the opportunity with some guys at work. I had one of them said, "You know what? I've got about three or four guys I want to talk to about this. I feel like this is going to be something really good." And so I had like six or seven people all at the same time that I wanted to talk to. I talked to Bob about that, and he said, "You know what? Let's have a meeting at your house. Let's just do a belly to belly old school meeting at your house if you want to." So I talked to my wife. We got everything worked out, and we had a meeting in our house. And there was seven of us that night. And after the presentation, after Bob talked, I shared, we ended up closing all seven of them, and it just took off from there. From there, my team began to go out and talk to people, and really, it's you share the concept of what the business is not, and it really catches people attention because worldwide, that old school make money for the guy above me process is what people don't want. And when you mention that we are a team collectively moving together, and you kind of break down, explain the process, it's a different concept than what people are used to. And with that concept, I began to grow, and I began to talk to people, and I began to grow, and I began to talk to people. And right now I think I'm sitting in, last time I saw my numbers, I was right at about 110 or so. It's probably a little bit more than that. I'm down to Ambassador 5. And it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I thank God every day that He's allowed me to get in front of this opportunity. And I just ask Him every day for opportunity to show others like me that are out there needing this opportunity. Let us meet up. Let us have those divine appointments and begin to communicate about this, because this is so much more than just a business. This is an opportunity to help and invest in people around you. And if I could throw out my why would be my family. I'm like David, man. I mean, I got two teenagers right now at home, both of them 17 and 18. Got one just started college, and that's there's some price tags that come along with college and all that stuff. So my family is definitely a big reason. Of course, I'm ready to retire my wife. That's one of the first things I want to do is retire her, so she can have the time that she wants with her kids and at home. And then I'm also involved in a ministry here in town, Isaiah 58 Ministries. And long range, what I see myself doing is moving towards the direction of ministerial work. I've always had a passion for people. I come from a life of I'm just going to put it out there. I come from a life of addiction. I work with people in addiction, and I have a heart for people that are incarcerated, people coming out of addiction, crazy backgrounds. And I feel the ministry calling me. So this would be an opportunity for me to be able to invest in maybe some education and some finances. This could be a vehicle to thrust me forward into doing God's work. And it's what I've always wanted to do, but just never could afford to do it or have the time to do it. Well, this vehicle of this Alps is going to change that. And so we're going to move forward with Kingdom's work, doing what he's called me to do. And I really I thank Bob and this opportunity for making that happen for us. So
I thank you, Jeff. And Jeff brought up some things. Amy brought up some things. David brought up some things. John Gaber brought up some things that are also common to the average person. And I'm not above average. Look, first of all, you got to understand something. I've got 30 years of experience in network marketing, offline and online, from startups and including building teams. Okay. But 30 years ago, I had no experience. And I already told you, it took me 7 years to figure out what I was doing wrong. And what I was doing wrong is I did not have a mentor. Give me a 1 if you understand the value of having a mentor, a life coach, a mentor, somebody that's not necessarily your sponsor, because your sponsor might be brand new like you are. Okay. And why do I say this? Because first and foremost, I talk about plugging in. I talk about being all in. Okay. That why that you have is going to drive the opportunity for you to plug in. Okay. We know already for the last 5 months that all those that plug into our system is very, very simple and very duplicatable because it has to be. And the system is simply plugging into the Zooms, plugging into the training, and taking the training and learning how to do what? Learning how to run a business. Running a business is not taking your affiliate link and spamming everybody and their brother all over the world. That is a marketing issue. Okay. That is part of learning how to run your business. But running your business is like running a business at your home. A lot of you don't understand that you have a business running at your home because it may not be you that's running it. What do I mean by that? You have probably 2 incomes coming in, and then once a month you have expenses, just like this business. Once a month you've got to pay the rent, or you pay a mortgage if you're not debt free. And once a month, you got to pay your electric bill, even if you are debt free. So you still have hard fixed expenses. That is a business. Why? Because if you don't know how to manage your business at home, and by that, I'm talking about managing your checking and savings account. If you don't have a savings account, you need to learn from me on that part too. But you have to manage your what? You have to manage your expenses in your home. Why? Because you've got your income coming in, and you have to have the job to do what? To pay your rent, to pay your what? Your electric, your gas, your water, your cable, your phone bills, so on and so forth. And trust me when I tell you that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you miss paying any of those expenses in the day and age we live in, what's going to happen? Somebody tell me, if you decide to play with the money that you saved for your electric bill out of your income and you decided not to pay it, what can happen?
they're going to turn you off.
They're going to turn your power off. They
Yeah.
don't give a rat's butt.
Nope.
I'm sorry about being crass, but understand that if you, I'm going to tell you 2 things that are truths. If you run your business at home and you mismanage your checkbook, this is exactly how you're going to run your business here. If you run your job, and everybody that still has a job because they have to do what? To at least pay their roof and to pay their way to buy their groceries, and maybe, just maybe, without a side gig, as they used to call it back in the day, they have enough to make it. But even now, especially in the United States, it takes at least 2. Or you have to have a plan and a business that is yours. You don't have to be the owner of it yet, but you have to have a business that's yours. And if you treat your job like you treat your checkbook, that you don't manage it correctly, what's going to happen with your job, Jeff?
You're not going to have it very long.
You won't. Okay. And I see people day in and day out all the time because I see everything. Why? Because I'm retired and I've got 70% of the company under me. So I see what they're doing, but I see more of what they're not doing. And I know the ones that are not plugging in. And the excuse that you don't have time, well, let's just talk about that real quick for a second. Even though that's another training that I've done before, time management. You have to learn how to manage your time, or time will manage you. That is a truth. Write that down. You have to learn how to manage your time properly, or time will manage you. And so, yes, you start with a 24-hour clock and you can just start deducting the time that you don't have to do your business. Because that's why the way people talk to me about it. That's why I don't have the time, Bob. I said, really? What you're telling me is that you don't want to make the time. Why can't I qualify that? I don't know. I'm not going to use me. I'm going to use Jeff. Jeff works a full-time job. Jeff volunteers every Saturday at a charity because he wants to. Now, that's time that he doesn't have to run the business. And when he's working, he doesn't have that time. And the hours that he's sleeping, he doesn't have that time either. But then he has to have family time, because you have to take time to spend quality time with your family. What this is all about, ladies and gentlemen, is learning how to build a business so you can get back to spending the quality time that you're missing. I missed the first 12 to 15 years of my children's lives because of my job that I had to work, and my business on the side that I had to keep grinding on to get to what? The why that I am and my goals that I've achieved so far. I done told you, I retired my wife. I didn't do it with just a job. I retired her first 4 years before I retired. I retired February of 2020. And then 4 years later, 3 years later, we retired completely debt-free, including the fact that we have spent $40,000 of our retirement money in the start of the remodeling of our house. Jeff can tell you, he lives down the street. There was times when we'd have all kinds of contractors here, and we're not done. We are taking this to the next level. We will never borrow any money. You got to remember, generational wealth means that you're building assets that you intend to, when you're not on this planet anymore. I'm 68 years old. My wife is 5 years behind us. We already have a plan in motion that the assets that we have accumulated so far are going to be handed down to our children. And the assets that they're accumulating now are going to be called generational wealth, because that's what we're talking about. David hinted on this, because that's what has to happen. Okay. But you've got people here that are working a full-time job, like John Gabriel, like Amy, working overtime, have to have their wife working. Why? Because they cannot function in society that we live in to this day and be able to do the things for their children that they want to do, that they still cannot do because they still don't have enough income. This is not a dilemma. This is not an annoyance. This is a tragedy, a travesty, and every single one of you on this call right now are worthy enough that your family deserves the opportunity that you have in front of you to do what? The same things that all of us that are speaking to you about are doing. If you want it bad enough, you have to want it so bad that you don't breathe, that you literally would have to stop and catch yourself. Hey, I didn't take a breath. That's how bad, because you got to breathe to stay alive. For some people, it's different things. But I told my wife 20 years ago, I told her that I had the opportunity, that God put things in front of me, that God gave me and built the skill sets around me over the last, my wife and I have been together almost 40 years. Okay. 37 married. And we've been through thick and thin, what a lot of you probably have too, but we've never lost sight of the fact that we were always going to do what? Build a future for our adult children who are 34 and 31 respectively. And they have their own lives and they have their own successes, but that is not enough for them. They want to be able to do what? They want to be able to now, when it's time for them to have children, and they don't have children yet, they have a plan. And the children are coming in their relationships, but that is not important yet. What is important is setting up the opportunity so that when they do have children, that they're not having to do what? Drop them off to the school for the school teachers to just babysit them, or have a nanny that they can't afford, or a daycare that they can't afford, but they can't afford for the wife to stay home. You see the dilemma. You have to see the dilemma that we have here. Now, what does that have to do with des Alpes? It has everything to do with des Alpes and the possible potentiality that you have in front of you. Because now, even with all the changes, okay, so understand this, with change becomes opportunity, not the opposite. Changes are good or they're bad. The changes that we've been going through are completely above board and opportunistic. Why? First of all, we cannot be compliant unless we're compliant. And what does that mean? That means that we have to be legal. We have to be running a legal business, not just in the United States, not just in Canada, not just in India, not just in Africa, but in 160 plus countries that we are legally able to run in, where the mall is going to be. Okay. And then you have to do what? You have to have sustainability. Give me a 1 if everybody here understands you have to be compliant and you have to be sustainable for not the next 6 months, not the next 12 months, not the next 2 or 3 years. We want sustainability for 10, 20, 30 years out ahead of us, right? Because what are we doing? We're all purposely, with our why and our business, going to do the things step by step that are going to lead to generational wealth, that when we are gone as parents, especially, that we have left to either our spouse or to our children the opportunity for them to be self-reliant and not dependent on anybody. It's one of the reasons my daughter's not married yet. My daughter has got herself set up with 2 degrees. She has a very brilliant career as the #1 all-state agent in all of Oklahoma and a number 10 or 20 on any given day in a 6-state region. She's won many awards, and she has earned a multiple six-figure income in the last 24 months at 31 years old, female, and not married yet, because that's not part of the plan. She will never have to depend on anybody for her way, regardless. And she's in the business. My son, the same way. Okay. So yes, they got it in their DNA, obviously, a part of it from their mother, part of it from me. But you have to understand that sustainability is tantamount to everybody's long-term success. So when we got rid of the $29,000 a month, for those of you that have been here since day one, why did we do that? Because it wasn't sustainable. When we got rid of the $600 a month and you don't have to recruit nobody, that was not going to be sustainable. We took it out. We had to redo the entire compensation plan again in the last couple of weeks because we saw that what the meat and potatoes looked like was not going to be sustainable by itself. Okay, it is sustainable as part of 3 separate income streams under one roof. The mall is the legal business that you have now, and it is sustainable because it is not a fad. It is a trend that is skyrocketing. Why do I tell you that? 200 million people in Amazon alone. 200 million. All we want, all Des Alpes wants, is 10% of that, and we will get it. We've already surpassed the 15,000. They thought that that was impossible until 90 days. 90 days was the goal for the first 15,000. We already have 23,000, and I've got 70% of that. 70%. That will never change. Okay, that will never change. So everybody here is on a team of very, very serious, dedicated individuals in leadership positions from top to bottom that believe in each and every one of you, that you have to believe in yourself strong enough to totally plug in and be all into the process, take and learn it and apply it, and then do it on a regular basis based upon the time that you have throughout your week. Okay, and it is not an overnight thing. I've already told you, it took me 7 years before I was successful at anything online. 7 years. My wife was going crazy because I kept grinding and grinding and grinding until one day I got to come back to her and I said, hey, this guy that's teaching me how to do something now. 8 months later, after I finally learned and got smart and got a mentor, somebody, what is a mentor to me? A mentor to me is somebody already successful that you will follow in their footsteps, and you will learn exactly what they're doing and you will apply it. And if you learn correctly and you apply it consistently, you will see steps of success. And I started seeing that in the first 2 months. And I kept saying to myself, well, Bob, you finally figured out, why didn't I get a mentor 7 years ago? Well, just didn't. Okay. But now I understand that. All right. So I'm telling each and every one of you, your sponsor may not be a mentor, but they're still your sponsor. Okay. As far as definition goes. So you want to reach up to the highest level of leadership that you can, wherever you're at, and then plug into the training, plug into these Zooms, and at least start becoming a leader by leading by example yourself. That if you can't be there, that's okay. We get it. But you got to take the replays, you got to watch them, and you still got to apply and do what? You still got to do consistent work towards the goal, which is supported by your why. That is what drives everything. Without your why, you have no goals. You might as well not even be in this business at all. I'm just going to be real blunt with y'all, straight up. So where does that leave us? It leaves us in a most joyous position. I'm going to end this right away because we're coming up on 2 hours, but this is good. This is being recorded, and recordings are always available about 24 hours later. And they show up in our Skype room and our Facebook groups because they get out to the senior leadership first, who passes it to their leadership, and then on down. And then it's your responsibility. And how do I know? Because we put them on YouTube and I see them. We have a YouTube channel, so I could go and I can see how many people are watching. And do I have 10,000 people as an example watching replays? Nope. Sure don't. It doesn't matter to me why anymore. I'll just be honest with you. You could only do by example what you're doing. And so I will never ask any of you to do any more or any less than I'm doing at any given time. So my expectations are always going to be 1,000% more than I ever expect you to do until you're ready to do it. Just that simple. But everybody that has done this has started at the same point with only 2 people. And everybody that's plugged into the training and watched the videos and used the videos to do the heavy lifting and use a leader to close for you until you're capable of doing it are the ones that are building like crazy, because that is the only thing duplicatable. Yeah, Renee, we're talking about it right now, and we talk about it every Saturday on the training. So I put my Facebook profile up there to you all, and you want to go to my profile, and I have a post that's been there ever since we started training. Now, I don't want you branding me. I don't need to be branded. Okay, you need to be branded. All right, so what does that mean? That means you go on and you find that post and you want to leave a comment. If you've been on the training, leave a comment. And if it's a comment that you didn't understand it, the training, or you want a specific kind of training that you haven't seen yet, leave a comment. Okay, and the reason you want to do that is, yes, it helps my algorithms, absolutely, but it also proves that this is part of the process in training that you need to be doing, that you will do for yourself. And so you go and you copy the post, you open it up and you copy it, get the link, and then you put it on your Facebook wall or your Instagram or your email. And you do what? You're reaching out to invite people to training, to free training. There is nothing easier to reach out to the thousands and thousands of network marketing and MLM groups. You don't post anything in there. You can if you want to try, but you'll see if you scroll post, you see people throwing their business out there. It doesn't work that way. What you want to do is meet and make connections with the members. And all the groups that allow you to meet the members, I don't know why I don't make it private. They're not very smart, but that's okay, because you want to meet the members and you want to connect with them. And that's how you're building your list. I've shown this on my Facebook profile many, many times that my reach is over 50%. The average reach and engagement for anybody, Google it, 6 to 10%. So how in the world do I got 50% reach with almost 7,000 followers? Took me 14 months to do this, and that's why I teach it. But the fact of the matter remains is all you got to do is look at my pinned post. Success leaves clues. So if you go look at people that are successful on Facebook, you'll see why. And then you just copy it for your purposes. Okay, so we're not going to go down that road, but just understand you got to plug in, you got to be all in, and you've got to want this worse than the worst thing you've ever wanted, because your why drives your goals. Your why will always drive your goals, or you will not have goals. And then what are you? You're lost, as far as I'm concerned. There's not a tutorial training in the back office, Robert Price. That is not there yet. Also, you're paying the $100 that you paid in that goes into the compensation plan is for a digital training product that is under development. That will be there after we launch to the public. And so AMB1 is Ambassador 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay. If you've got questions about certain things, they have a portal in the back office. But please, right now, we are in the middle of upgrades. And a lot of those things don't mean anything directly, but they have no effect on your income, directly or indirectly. Okay. But Ambassador 1 through 5 is yes, and you pay those expenses. And if you don't know what those are, then you need to have watched a replay. And if you don't have the replay, you need to go back to your leadership and get it from them or be on the trainings. Okay. Anybody else got any questions before we shut this down? Yeah, great, Renee. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. So now you know what to teach your people. That's exactly what you teach your people. You know, and you got to understand, and I hear people say, well, your trainings was 2.5 hours. Now, why are you going to tell me that? I'm going to tell you why you're going to tell me that. Because you don't think that it's a value for you to sit there and watch 2.5 hours worth of training. That's the only reason you would tell me that. And oh, well, Bob, your live webinars, they're too long. You know, I get this all the time. Your live webinar is too long. So well, leave. If you're tired of hearing what we're doing, just leave the webinar. You know, it's kind of like turning the channel. If you don't like what you're seeing or hearing, turn the channel. Okay? Nobody's forcing anybody to, nobody's bending your arm, nobody's coercing you. And if I hear back from people that they're taking the less than $200 one time to get in this business and they're taking it out of their grocery money, shame on you, because I don't allow that. And that's part of the process of onboarding people. Part of the process of getting the commitment is them asking you questions and then you asking some questions, because part of the questions that you ask are you capable of having at least $200 one time that is disposable income, not income that you use to live with. Now, if you lie to me, I can't help that. But I know when people aren't telling the truth, you know, and you'll learn that from psychology. Okay. But the thing is we all only want the one same thing for each and every one of you. And that's for each and every one of you to do what first? To have at least your first two that is puts you in profit. Then there is nobody on this planet at that point, no matter what, can ever tell you that that was a mistake. Give me a 2 if you understand what we're talking about and you're getting any value. Give me a 2 if you understand what I'm talking about and you're getting any value right now. Okay? I want to make sure that you're getting value, but you understand about that this is a business and you have to learn how to run a business. And running a business is not throwing your link around. Okay? Running your business is not trying to tell everybody what this is. That's not your job. It was never your job. It's my job. It's Jeff's job. It's David Gwynn's job. Okay? Yeah, David Gwynn's right. Okay, so before we leave, now let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the juice, as Amy would say. And here's the juice. As easy as it is to invite somebody to free training, there's 4 words that you need to have in your vocabulary now, and I'm going to qualify it. Do you shop online? Somebody write that down. There it is, David Gwynn. That's it. That is your business. I don't have to qualify why online shopping is a legitimate business. Everybody should know that. Okay, do you shop online? That is your icebreaker. That is how you open the door. And people are going to tell you one of 2 things. They're going to tell you, yes, I do. Or they're going to tell you, well, I do, but mostly I shop locally. And we love that because you're going to love part of what's coming. Collaborations with local businesses that will be in your mall. We're already working on it. We're already working on it. And how's that going to work? You are going to have, if you remember what Groupon is or was, give me a 2. If you remember what Groupon is or was, give me a 2. If you don't know anything about Groupon, give me a 1. If you don't know what Groupon even means, okay, there's a 1. Paul Messina 1. Okay, Groupon was the first company to come out with digital coupons. Okay, everybody loves coupons. So give me a 1 if you love to be able to use a coupon to go to the grocery store and save money. Okay, that's where coupons comes from. That is not, that is still right now. Everybody uses a coupon. Everybody uses a coupon when you go buy pizza. When you go to your restaurant, if they offer a coupon, everybody always asks, hey, what's your specials? What discounts do you offer? Are you taking any coupons? This is not a fad. This is real life. Now, how does that apply to what you got? I'm going to tell you. How would you like to have your digital coupons that have your personal link embedded in them? Give me a 2. Give me a 2 if you want to have your personal coupons that have your link embedded in it that you can put where? Everywhere, anywhere, that you can share between people's phones. Say, hey, I got a coupon for this today. Would you like to use it? Well, what are they going to say to you? Okay, so what is the easiest way to share your business with? And your business is online shopping. Now, anybody can talk to anybody now, because 4 months ago, we couldn't say what our business was in reality. We knew that the mall was coming. We knew that a debit card was coming, and all those are coming, and the mall's almost here. Okay, and I got a link that we can look at the concept of the mall in just a minute before we go, but you can't advertise the link. So we've been asked not to actually put it out. Some of the leadership has it, but the fact of the matter is, Groupon business model is being added to the mall right out the gate. And that is the tip of the iceberg, because when you ask the question, I was out on errands last Friday, and I was at my heart doctor at the same time. And I asked a question because I will talk to people. And I'm standing there, and there were 6 nurses. 4 of them were actually nurses, and 2 of them were customer service people at the desk of one of my heart doctors. And we're sitting there talking, and I just said, hey, ladies, do any of you shop online? There's 6 of them. How many yeses did I get out of 6, somebody? Ernest, you're right. How many yeses did I get out of 6? Exactly. And 2 of them did say, well, I shop mostly locally, but yes, I shop online. And what is the next thing that they say to you? I didn't get another word out of my mouth. They said, why are you asking? I didn't even get another word out of my mouth. Why are you asking? Well, the reason I'm asking is, do you like, and here's question number 2. Remember what you've got to do in a conversational relationship marketing is ask questions that will give you the answer that you want. Write that down. Ask questions that will give you the answer that you want. And here's question number 2. And I'm going to ask everybody here, do you like to save money when you shop online? Give me a yes or a no. Give me a yes or a no. Is there going to be any no's out there? Do you like to save money online? Okay. Now, yes. And so what are we doing? We are marching that person straight down the road to what they're going to do at the very end. And I'm going to tell you what 90% of each one of the people that did, including my new banker, and so on. The next question I said, great, that's wonderful. So let me ask you another question. When you save money online, is it important that you get the opportunity to get cash back? What do the people say? What are they going to say? What are they going to say? No, it's not important to get cash back. We all know that we carry around credit cards, right? That if you use a certain type of credit card, you get cash back. That is not a fad. This is a huge trend. Your debit card is going to give you 1.5% cash back on any purchase that you have, including in your mall. And then here's the big one. Here's the big one. Would you like the possibility of getting paid to shop in your own mall? Give me the answer, world. Give me the answer, world. Well, of course, that's going to be a yes. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yes, I shop online. Yes, I want to get the best quality. Yes, I want to save money when I get the best quality. Yes, I want to get cash back. And so you're telling me that I'm going to save money. I'm going to actually save more with the same product that's compared to Amazon. Yes. And now you're going to tell me that I'm going to be able to get cash back. Yes, because you're going to have a debit card that gives you 1.5% cash back, even in your own mall, or at your grocery store, or when you buy your gas, or when you go to eat at a restaurant, when you buy clothes. And then, just because we love you so much, we're going to pay you to shop in your own mall. Boom! Tell me that is not the coup d'etat. Tell me that. How many people can you share this with now? How many people can you share this with now? Now you don't have your what? You don't have your family and friends go and show you the money. They're saying, where's your link? I want to see your mall. And every single one, ladies and gentlemen, every single one that I did that step by step, that quick little thing didn't even take me 5 minutes with 6 people at one time. They said, do you have a business card or a link so we can go see your mall? Every single one of them. What do you got now, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, I see about 30 people have left. That's too bad for them. What do you got now, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, I didn't tell that part. All your expenses are always tax deductible. I've told people, my wife and I do not pay taxes up front during the year. We never have. Why? Because we have a good CPA and they understand the tax code. And yet we got back 2,000 last year in federal and 1,000 back in state without paying a single dime in taxes up front. Who wants to learn how to do that? Give me a 5. Who wants to learn how to be able to not have to pay taxes up front during the year on their income, possibly from a job, or absolutely not on their businesses, because they don't take taxes out of your business, no matter what business you're in. And as long as you make more than $600, you will pay taxes on that if you want to pay taxes on that. But you want to learn how to not pay taxes. Is there anybody getting any value? Give me some love. Give me some love. Give me some high fives. Is there anybody getting any value out of what you could potentially learn from running your business with us? There you go. There you go. Now you got a little bit of information about what's going on. And trust me when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing left right now, because we just had a meeting. I had a meeting, Gary and I and Joe had a meeting with the president of des Alpes, the chief admin of operations, the admin of the mall, and the admin over programming and the IT department. Yes, we are in direct communication with them by phone, by email, and by Zooms. We will have another Zoom with them in 2 days for updates. Okay, so everything that's going on in your back office right now has been planned. It tells you that we are working on it. The fact that Antonio, who I talked to directly, who is the lead programmer, the guy's worth whatever they're paying him plus. They are protecting this person like the guy is family, and his son is an IT guy, brilliant IT guy himself, and is part of the customer service. So when you're dealing, by the way, when you're dealing with customer service right now, they're hiring some more people as we speak. But when you're dealing with customer service, you will get a email back 9 out of 10 times right now from Antonio Massoli or Chad Massoli. Antonio Massoli is the lead programmer. The lead programmer is answering support tickets. And they do very well at it. And especially when there's 20-something thousand people trying to hit them. Yep, David, I appreciate that. Anybody got any last minute questions before I shut this down for today? Ernest, you must be a top dog. You got to be a dog. You know, we got some brilliant people. And when the people that are on our senior leadership team, how did they get there? They started out as a team leader with me. What is a team leader? A team leader's got 3 full levels. at least 3 full levels. It doesn't matter one leg or the other. So right now, John Gabriel is a team leader, as an example. He's on Gary's side, okay, but he is a team leader. Okay, if you've got your 62, your minimum 62, you get promoted to group leader. This is recognition. And in the future, Gary and I have big plans for recognition, or not just recognition, but we start with recognition first. And leaders earn the respect and the positions that they got. Okay. And then we have the group, which is a group leader, 62. Then we have a global leader. Okay. A global leader means that you have people in multiple countries and you have a minimum of 1,000 paid members in your community. And folks, I've got people with thousands, with 2,000, 3,000, with 10,000, all up and down. Well, how do I know that? Well, because I've got 18,000. Okay. David Gwynn brought in one of the biggest leaders that I have so far over the last 5 months, Joseph Anthony. He is in Montreal. He is my point person with the company because the company is 30 minutes down the street from where he lives. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You cannot make this stuff up. And Joseph Anthony is retired, debt-free himself, and speaks perfect English, and he speaks very fluent French. And he gets private conversations as well with the president of Des Alpes and the other Des Alpes leadership, because they're all French Canadians and their first language is French. And this is a blessing, not in disguise. This is a blessing, as a matter of fact, for each and every one of you, that the lot of us, Gary, myself, Joseph Anthony, David Gwynn, Jeff McBee is fast moving up that ladder. Robert Phillips, who is my opposite on Gary's side, on Gary's first level. Lou Hornberger is our admin over the platforms that we have, the Zoom and the Go High Level platforms. And then Danielle LaCroix is our admin over development of our videos to translations and more to come. So you have a senior leadership team that are both very worthy, very brilliant, and very capable and deserving of where they're at. And the female leaderships are moving fast, fast, fast. And one of them has already actually could be promoted, but her health keeps her from doing so. But I will tell her, Helene, who is on Craig Linfield's downline and in underneath one of the people that just got promoted, Big Al Connolly out of Australia as well, is on the senior leadership team with Craig as well. So yeah, tax benefits is for everyone, or U.S. citizen. Tax benefits is for everyone, depending upon your tax consequences in the country that you live in. So I am not a tax attorney. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial planner, although I teach a lot of these things. So you will go to a licensed person in that capacity, and you will ask them for their information that applies to wherever you are. And it's state to state is different in the United States too. So what happens here in Oklahoma is not necessarily the same thing that happens in California, as an example. Okay, so just understand that. Anybody else got a question before we shut this down? I appreciate everybody hanging in there. For those of you that did, again, get back to whoever your sponsor is for answering of other questions. Get in front. Get yourself in front, not by text, not by get belly to belly with the highest level of leadership that is above you. This will tell me how serious you are. Okay? Get with the highest level. So anybody else got any questions? Anybody else got anything to add before we go? Thank you, Renee. Make sure you watch out for the links. You know, all your leaders should already have the 3 links in your folders to hand out to all these folks that are here. You have a link for this Zoom once a week. You have the registration link for the Thursday night Zoom and a registration link for the Saturday Zoom. And again, if you come over to my profile, you will see the post that I have about training. And as a matter of fact, Facebook loves that post. And I'll tell you, here's a gold nugget to take away. Everybody that's advertising, and your advertising make $9,751 a month, make $5,300 a month. You advertise dollars on Facebook, and they will shut down your reach. You don't have to believe me. Hang on a second. Hello?
This is Bruce and Cindy.
Hey.
Bob, how are you?
Oh, just fine. Hey guys, can you give me about 5 minutes? I'm still in the middle of a Zoom right now.
Yeah.
And call me back. Give me about
You can call him back if
Yeah.
you have.
yeah, give me about 5 minutes because I'm
I'll wait till you call me back.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Get to work.
Thanks. Okay. So, and just know this, your leaders are all trained to do one most important thing for you before I leave, to help you become successful. Lean on them. Let us do the heavy lifting. Let your videos do your telling. And we don't sell anything. We share concept of the why. The why makes sense. They'll want to know how. There's no learning about how we're doing this unless the why and for whom we're doing it makes sense. Give me a 2 if that makes sense to you all. Give me a 2 if it makes sense that it doesn't matter how you're going to do it. If they don't understand why they're doing it and for whom they're going to help and learn to help, how you do it doesn't matter. Okay, that's it, guys and gals. I certainly appreciate all of your time. Again, 24 hours from now, this replay will be available. I expect everybody to get it. I expect everybody to watch it and take your notes. And the great thing about replays, obviously, is what? That you can start and stop it. You can put it to the side and come back. You can make your notes, but plug into the process. Be all in. You're already all in financially. You don't have to spend another dime. You don't have to spend money on advertising. We haven't spent a penny on advertising in 5 months. Learn how to do it the way we're doing it first. And then as you grow, you can have all kinds of options because you need what? You need tax write-offs. And tax write-offs are business expenses. So advertising is a tax write-off. When you go to a restaurant, get your business cards made up, get your domain for your mall link, for your affiliate link. Do not throw your links out there. If you throw your links in Facebook, you're going to go to Facebook jail. Another gold nugget, just a fact. But plug in, get all in, get dead serious. And those that do it consistently, even if it's only 2 to 4 hours a week, over time, you will build your business. Over time, you will build your business. All right. God bless each and every one of you for being here. The next meeting that we have is Thursday night. I'm sure that Gary will be back in the saddle again, and we'll do a full business presentation Zoom Thursday night. And remember, every Saturday is training. The training is free. It doesn't matter what business they're in. Doesn't matter if they're only promoting themselves. Okay, none of that matters. What matters is to invite everybody that you can invite because it's free, and we give you gold nuggets that you can turn around and to use, and they use them. They come back for more. Then they're going to say, hey, I want the whole enchilada, and the whole enchilada requires that person to join you in Des Alpes. And we have that happening every single Saturday, every week. All right. God bless each and every one of you. God loves. Listen to me before we go. Another success a success tip that leaves clues. God loves each and every one of you. Brothers and sisters of Christ are uniting on the biggest platform ever, and that's your platform. That's Des Alpes. Brothers and sisters in Christ are uniting around the world, first and foremost, because of our vision and mission video. Uniting in Christ for one common cause, and that's one global community. One global community changing people's lives, one family a day, one day at a time. Again, God loves each and every one of you. So do all of us. See each and every one of you at the top. Bye-bye.